For the record, I do not own or claim to own any of the images or music in this video. My channel is a fair use channel. I take images and clips from movies, media, and give my commentary on it for teaching, reporting, and research. No copyright claim intended. So, in cinematic news, just as we're riding high on the wave of The Little Mermaid and having another addition to Black Disney princesses, we can't be princesses. We don't know our place. And Mr. has come along to continue to jam his dick down our throats and up our asses because we don't know our fucking place, right? The fact that this fucking Color Purple is being rebooted makes me want to fucking vomit. It absolutely makes me want to vomit. Now, the first Color Purple was a phenomenal movie. It was a story that was well told, well directed, or whatever. I have my issues with it, but that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, it was a slice of life, a slice of reality, and it was fabulously portrayed, right? But we got the fucking point. We got it. We got the point then. We got it. The movie was so phenomenal that we got the point then. I don't understand why Black people, and I don't know, but I don't think that Halle Bailey was like eager to sign up for this. I could be wrong. Maybe she, is groomed under these old ass, miserable ass women that believe you're supposed to be long suffering and making all the sacrifices, and that's what make you strong. That shit don't make you strong. What it does is it makes us unhealthy and it makes us die at an earlier age than we fucking should. And this is why I'm annoyed. This is why I'm annoyed, because it's like it gives off, again, this, I speak in symbols. I talk about symbols and what they mean and what images convey. And to have her as a Disney princess and to have millions of girls all over the world looking at this, seeing what's possible, little Black girls saying, wow, she's Black like me, and giving them possibilities, to then turn around and then have her cast as this Black woman that just goes through such immense suffering at the hands of her own people and systemic racism. Like, just when you think we're taking steps forward, people in entertainment come and like knock us back down. Again, this thought of, when you're a Black woman, you need to know your place. You're Black, you're dark, you're a woman. And that Disney shit, that's fantasy. And it's that real shit. And this shit, it has to stop. Like, it is so detrimental to our health and our well-being. Like, this narrative of, again, Black women having to be long suffering at the hands of their man and at their families, making all the sacrifices, always the one giving, having to deal with grief and nowhere else to go to receive help or consolation. Like, again, this has real time consequences. To continue to push this narrative is so harmful because, like I said, it literally takes hours from our lives. Like, and Black women need generations, just like it took us generations to get here. We need generations to heal. We need generations of not having to hear, well, you need to do this. Well, if you would just do this, this would happen. Well, maybe if you knew how to talk, if you wasn't so aggressive, if you wasn't so masculine, if you knew how to submit, if you knew, like, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need people telling us that we're not enough. We don't need people telling us we're not good enough. We're this and we're that. What we are is traumatized. What we are is grief-stricken and heartbroken. And I need for people to understand that. And again, if people want to go see this reboot or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not here for it. I don't want to see no more beautiful black women being called ugly. You show is ugly and getting beat up and just I don't want to see it. I just do not want to see it. I don't want to see it at all. I can bear I can't even watch the original Color Purple. It is so heart wrenching to see. I don't make it my business to keep rewatching that. Like I said, it was a great movie, but once seeing it once was enough for me. I don't. That's not the kind of cinema that I want to see. There's enough documentaries out here. There's enough studies and research out here telling you that we are losing millions of hours of our lives to this shit. And they don't care. It's like you're supposed to be long suffering, and I'm just really I'm really tired of this because, like I said, it is costing us our lives. And freedom is time. Freedom is time, and time is for everybody. Time is everyone's, which is why it's called ours. Everybody should be free to enjoy their time the way they want to because they fucking have it. And I want to add, because again, I wasn't even really bothered by this until I read an article that I saw on, I believe it was NBC. And that's what like triggered me when I saw this. And I'm like, because I get it. You know, some people, especially of a certain age, are just so conditioned to think and believe that suffering, extreme suffering and manufactured suffering, because in life there will be times where you will be challenged, there will be times where there will be losses, grief, or whatever, but for black people there is manufactured trauma. And you have a lot of older black people that really believe that that's good for you. You know, you're supposed to suffer. It builds your character. It makes you a better person, and it doesn't. You become a better person because you have no fucking choice. Life would have already made you who you're supposed to be. You don't need nobody's help in coming in, and that's a huge problem in the black community. This warden-like behavior. Oh, you're too comfortable. You're too happy. You need to suffer. I'm gonna make sure you don't have this. Don't do this. You can't have this. You need to suffer before you can appreciate anything. And that mentality is costing us millions of hours of time. Like it's I don't understand. And I'm gonna just give some more examples, because when Michelle Obama said she spent 10 years, 10 fucking years mad at her husband. A whole decade. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable for anybody, male or female. Because in this life, on average, the average person is expected to live between 70 and 80 years. Some people up to 100. So let's say on average, the average is between 80 to 90 years, right? So we get like, let's say, 8 decades apiece in this life. You get 8 decades. And Michelle says she spent one of them being mad at somebody that she was married to. Just so women can walk around and brag and I's married now. I's married. And have anniversaries and shit like that. What is the point of bragging and having anniversaries when this nigga got you damn near about to have a fucking nervous breakdown? You can't stand him for a decade? That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Please don't tell nobody that it like, this is the real about marriage. And that is real. That is real. But this is why I advocate for women we need to look. When times is real, you got to do what you got to do, and you have to adapt to the times until you can make them better. This is just not a good time when it comes to marriage right now for black women, because there are just so many men that are just against it. They don't even understand why they don't like women. And they can't process it. Men are just now getting the tools, and they don't want to use them and access them to figure out what this hatred is that's inside of them. So my advice to young women is to live your best life. Because again, all of these traps that men have set for us is intended to get us out the game early. So my advice is just to live your very best life. Do what makes you happy. If you find love, that's beautiful. and I will celebrate it with you. But if you don't rush it. Don't be desperate. And figure out ways to make life better, because when life is good, when you are good, when you're in a good space mentally and emotionally, you live longer. And this is fucking science. It has been researched. As a matter of fact, let's get into it. Because so many black people die young with many years of life ahead of them, their higher mortality rate from 1999 to 2020 resulted in a cumulative loss of more than 80 million years of life compared with the white population, the study showed. Although the nation made progress in closing the gap between white and black mortality rates from 1999 to 2011, that advance stalled from 2011 to 2019. In 2020, the enormous number of deaths from COVID, which hit black Americans particularly hard, erased 2 decades of progress. Authors of the study describe it as a call to action to improve the health of black Americans, whose early deaths are fueled by higher rates of heart disease, cancer, and infant mortality. The study is hugely important for about 1.63 million reasons, said Herman Taylor, an author of the study and director of the Cardiovascular Research Institute at the Morehouse School of Medicine. Real lives are being lost. Real families are missing parents and grandparents, Taylor said. Babies and their mothers are dying. We have been screaming this message for decades. High mortality rates among black people have less to do with genetics than with the country's long history of discrimination, which has undermined educational, housing, and job opportunities for generations of black people, said Clyde Yancey. Black neighborhoods that were redlined in the 1930s, designated too high risk for mortgages and other investments, remain poorer and sicker today. Formerly redlined zip codes also had higher rates of COVID infection and death. It's very clear that we have an uneven distribution of health, Yancey said. We're talking about the freedom to be healthy, and freedom means time. Racial disparities in health are so entrenched that even education and wealth don't fully erase them. So basically saying, even if you have money, it still does not mean that you will live to be live long and have health. Black women with a college degree are more likely to die from pregnancy complications than white women without a high school diploma. Although researchers can't fully explain this disparity, Branch said it's possible that stress, including from systemic racism, takes a greater toll on the health of black mothers than previously recognized. Black women, period, to me. Death creates ripples of grief throughout communities. Research has found that every death leaves an average of 9 people in mourning. Black people shoulder a great burden of grief, which can undermine their mental and physical health. Given high mortality rates throughout the lifespan, black people are more than likely than white people to be grieving the death of a close family member at any point in their lives. We as black people all have some legacy of unjust, unwarranted loss and death that compounds with each new loss. It affects not only how we move through the world, but how we live in relationship with others and how we endure future losses.
Years, Michelle reveals things with Barack weren't always picture perfect, especially for about a decade.
And people think I'm being catty by saying this. It's like there were 10 years when I couldn't stand my husband.
You know? Do say that. You
10
say
long
10
years. And guess when it happened? When those kids were little, right?
So I didn't add all of the article, but you can go online and find it. But the numbers are staggering. The statistics are fucking staggering. Like, this is a huge problem. And like I said, we have our elders or people in certain positions of power, like actively keeping Black women in death, like actively keeping us in a mindset that will make us die younger and live less fulfilled, less happy lives. Again, always being the sacrifice. Who cares? You don't have to like your kids. Why not? You're not going to always like your husband. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because even when you go through something with someone, you should still like them. Like everything, like there are so many things that need to change about Black culture. Like so many. Just identifying racism isn't enough, because again, when you're a Black woman, you have to deal with not only racism, you have to deal with the self-hatred of the very men that are in your communities. So it's like, I'm not here for this for the Color Purple reboot. Again, from a psychological standpoint, from a symbolic standpoint, it's a horrible move. And again, we don't need any more cinema entertaining us. We need more documentaries giving us information and solutions at this point. Because again, this is like, I just read that article. I just gave you the statistics. Like, we are losing millions of hours of our lives. And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Women, like, please find new ways of validating yourself without it having to center around some man validating you, giving you the attention that you feel you deserve. Give it to yourself. Give yourself the life that you believe that you deserve. And then if someone wants to come along and improve that, okay. Live your best life for yourself. Stop being a mule for your family. Stop being a mule for your fucking man. Like, this is just like, I don't even, it's really hard for me to even really like talk about it and articulate it in the way that I really want to, because again, like, this is real for me as well. Like, I'm still dealing with the grief of losing a loved one, and she took her life, like, just like dealing with mental health issues that she never got help for, that no one in my family like really understood. Like, it's just really time for things to change. Like, we really have to go about things in a different way. Like, this isn't sustainable. It's not helping. It's not healthy. The way we raise each other, it's something has to give, and we have to be in charge of it instead of everybody else coming along with what they think we should do. We've been here. Black people are the first people on this planet and will be the last. We can figure this out. We just have to have a will to do it. We have to see each other as valuable, which we don't. And we have to value our lives and our time, which we don't. We're not taught to. We're taught to elevate material things, above all else. And we are the most important. Like, how we live and how we exist and what we pass down, things like legacy. We have to start to take these things more seriously, especially Black women. We have to start taking these things more seriously. We can't keep existing in a world of grief. Grief brings death. Death brings grief. It's a vicious fucking cycle, and this shit has to stop. So again, I can't tell people what to do. You can't. People don't want to listen anyway. So if anybody wants to see the Color Purple again, the shit's been everywhere. It's been on Broadway. Black suffering again. Mister's dick they just want it shoved down our fucking throats and up our asses, and I don't want it. I'm not here for Mister's dick. So I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see it. I don't have that shit in my real fucking life. And again, I just feel like it's a slap in the face to this young lady. She's still building her career. She should be able to define what her legacy is as an actress, and what, her energy is cast out, in these movies, how she wants to, that to be. But again, I don't know these people. This is just my perspective as someone that's concerned, again, with the stats and just my real life experience. This isn't sustainable, and it's not healthy. We don't need these images anymore. We don't need these stories anymore. If you want to know about the history of Black suffering, research it. Read a book. Go read a documentary or talk to your elders from a perspective of how can we change this? How can we make this better? All right, I'm too frustrated to really talk about this. Hopefully you got the point. Like I said, the article is online. I didn't add every, single word of it. Again, you can look at it yourself. Again, I'm just encouraging Black women, please, it's time to do something different. You deserve your time. You deserve your hours.